Everyone always thinks that Chen is about micro, but I completely disagree. I feel like Chen is first and foremost about the ability to game sense, like to know how to move around the map. The micro in Dota is actually not that complicated. Like for 90% of heroes, like even Meepo, you can figure it out within a few games. But the biggest thing is the game sense for these types of heroes that is required. Like for Chen, it's not about how you micro. Obviously, that might determine like a good from a great.
Yep.
But what it really comes down to is, are you making the right rotations? Are you balancing your farm versus ganking?
And that's where Poppy's experience really kicks in.
Exactly.
This guy knows all when it comes to like timings. I still can't believe his knowledge as well. I don't talk as much to Poppy these days, but back when we used to talk a hell of a lot, like we'd just be talking about some random drafts, and he would just reference a game like it was nothing. Like just remembers it. He's like, yeah, back during ESWC in 2008, eHome, they ran this hero in this position, and he did this at the 5-minute mark, and I'm like, how do you remember this? How do you keep tabs and then organize all this information and bring it up when it's relevant?
I will tell you though that every Dota player that I know that plays competitively knows every game that they've played. Like I remember I talked to Ziz or whatever, the Cole player. I was like, hey, remember when we played in a game? And I was laughing at him because I won the lane, but he's like, but you had win range or draw aura, and like everybody, I'll remember the game, he'll remember the game. Like everybody instantly, if they know it's you, they understand the situation, they can like instantly recall it. And probably go down like my last, like, you pull up a game from like 2 years ago and I probably remember it pretty well.
I am very jealous of you then. My memory does not work in that manner.
It's just, you have to kind of, I guess the biggest reason why people think like that, or most pros think like that, it has less to do with memory and more to know that you have to like actively learn from your mistakes, and the only way to do that is like to remember all the games you played, how they went, what you did wrong, what you did right. It helps a lot, like speeding up that process. I'm not sure if that's something that everybody can do, but it's like the first step in getting better, I think.
So we need to start. Hang on, Cass is allowed to go up on Adderall, right? Like we're fine with that stuff.
And it really just comes down to like remembering scenarios in Dota. I always tell people that, to remind yourself like what happens. Like, okay, you're playing against a PA lineup. You know that you're gonna need a lot of magic burst, and you need to fight before BKB because the evasion on this hero is insane, and Fnatic don't really have any MKB carriers, like, even if it's a Vengekor or whatever. So, from your pub experience in Dota or whatever, you'll know that PA is gonna be pretty hard to kill even with AMP. So they'll get aggressive with the Visage and the Venge early, and stuff like that. You just constantly tell yourself or talk to yourself about.
That is actually what, like, both you and Camp do the same thing. Like, whenever I ask you, it's like, so who's going to win up in this matchup? And you're like, well, this happened in this matchup back in this time, and this happened at that matchup. It's just the experience of how it happened in the past.
Yeah, it's like anytime, you remember when I told you, like, I saw Fada versus, what's his name? I saw Fada versus Weehaw. Was it? No. It was Fada versus S4 in that matchup. Like Razor versus... What's that hero? Razor versus Magnus. I just remember that. Then you kind of have a rough idea of how the matchup went. I'm sure the players that played in that have a rough idea of how that matchup went and what could have gone better and stuff. And you just constantly improve. Playing professional Dota, though, is like something else. Like listening to top-level players talk about drafts and how to predict and things like that. It's insane.
Yeah, that's why they're always great when we get them on camera. And they can share what they know.
Yeah.
Fnatic, let's get it underway. So, no more pause time. And here's that aggressive TP already coming. Wait, hang on. What the? Hang on. Okay, we're going to switch to Blitz's perspective for a moment while I disconnect and reconnect back in again, as I've got a reborn bug.
Okay. So, Misery has 2 mangoes. I will just click his hero. We've got the PA. He's got a mango too. Mango's an ownage item. If Secret do what they normally do, they'll just duel off lane / tri lane and allow Misery to get the one-on-one matchup. Pylite die up in this jungle. Ohio's invading too. I still have not gotten used to the new map, by the way. It's pretty interesting.
Okay, something is off. I can't click on the mini-map.
Interesting.
All right, guys. It's gonna be a challenge.
30 seconds
It's gonna be
to
a
battle.
definite challenge to observe in this game, but we'll give it a shot.
Wait, you really can't click on the minimap?
No, it won't let me. It won't let me click. The minimap is a non-area for me.
Okay.
At least I can click hero portraits, and it's letting me click on heroes, so it's not the.
It's not the end of the world, but
It's not the other bug, but it's yeah. But I can't even actually. I can't drag click and select. Okay, that's
The battle begins.
that's frustrating.
I would offer to be the cameraman, but everyone would have a headache.
Yeah.
The way that I move my mouse is...
Actually, I'll actually just restart because I don't think we're gonna see a first blood at this point. It looks like everyone's just going into very passive lane.
Just switch to me, dude. I got it.
All right, yeah. Blitz has got our back.
I'm so sorry, guys, if this makes you dizzy, by the way. It's just...
All right. I'll be back in a moment.
Yeah,
Don't
alright.
picnic.
I will tell you that Weeha's not going to have fun already. Exort Invoker. This is what Bane does. He gets on top of your hill, and because of just his overall stats, like including his move speed, it's almost impossible. Like the fact that he just hits Weeha like 4 times, and Mushi, credit to Mushi, is an incredibly strong mechanical player when it comes to the mid lane. But it feels like he is forced to switch roles like every so often, where it's just like, oh well, Mushi's now the support because his team needs him to be. Like he needs stability in his life. You have to lock yourself down, Mushi, in one role and focus on it. Puppy swinging around already for the level 1 gank on net.
He's actually in a really good position for that. The Hellbear's still got the clamp available too, but
Yeah, he's trying to wait it out as long as possible.
There's no nuke for it, but if Weeha can get close enough, he is Exort build. They could look for the Sunstrike.
Yeah, he does have the... You
Alright,
know, you are given Invoke at level 1.
We're back in again. We're back in again, so we'll switch it over. I can click things now.
Nice, I did it, fam.
You're amazing, Blitz. Absolutely amazing. You should be cameraman at next TI.
I'm a star. I am the web boss of Dota.
Shout out to Scriff if he's tuning in too. Web boss. Okay, Mushi. Is that first blood? He just beat him through
Yeah, he's got
Weeha.
it.
Yeah, it is. He went for a 2-1 build and just went ham on the Invoker. Right back for the perfect moment.
Yeah, the Nether Toxin destroyed him. You can't really fault Weehaw too much because it's a difficult lane, and it was already made hard by the fact that the Bane was there, but that's pretty rough. Did he pop his salve at the same time, too?
He popped the salve when the courier brought it in. So when he hit the tree line, he popped it, so he lost the salve. DJ might be in a little bit of a world of hurt. Puppy can't actually get him in range to hit with the Centaur, but they try and slow him down with a Penitence now. And Puppy, yep, that Centaur goes for the Stomp, and DJ can't get himself out of this one. The Shadow Wave from Pilot Eye will find the kill.
Puppy.
So there's a rebuttal, but it's still a solo kill that went the way of Mushi.
Puppy, you're so good. That was so sick. It's a good kill, but at the same time, it was only on a support. You would have really liked to see that on the mid laner if possible. You just tank a gank with Visage. That's perfectly fine. As long as your Viper's not getting pressured, you give him this one-on-one matchup. Weeha's already used like half of his CS on a salve that, you know, he ended up denying. Misery is doing okay in CS. Like, this is... Usually they give him an okay matchup. He's got 2 mangoes and will probably opt to get a bottle considering the type of team that he has.
It's an even trade up against Ohio too. Like that CS is neck and neck. And life is easier for both of them. They can both pick up the bottle from the side shop now. Ohio, oh yeah, she gets himself a lucky bash on Misery. Inflicting a little bit more damage, and Misery doesn't have a lot of life to play with. Ohio's still got 2 tangos up his sleeve, so the regeneration's there. But again, we see this from Secret where they run their core, if we say it, like their number 1 role, Eternal Envy, on this off lane, and they just give them extra support with Pilot Eye being up here.
I mean, they almost always do
Wait,
this.
is that Centaur gonna... Okay, yeah, Grave Shield from DJ. He gets the space away from the Centaur. ADTR's gonna commit the Magic Missile as well, and this might be an opening where Secret can just go deeper, and with a Stifling Dagger, the Centaur can't finish the job, but Puppy can. Reaching the Visage underneath the Tier 1 tower. Weeha might be in a world of hurt as well. Gets Invis. And they didn't bring any kind of detection, so Weeha's able to escape from the attack of Mushi.
Still pretty rough lane. Was forced to invoke into Ghost Walk, which is something he doesn't want to do. And on top of that, he's burning through his next set of regen. I do believe he has boots now. Maybe...
Yeah, you got boots and a bottle coming out in the courier, but the bottle belongs to Misery.
Yeah, that's something that you expect.
Wait, hang on. Misery bought the bottle back at base? Oh, because you only get 1 charge when it's on the side shop.
Yeah, there's almost no reason for that, especially with the time as it is. At bottom, he's quite low. Should be fine though. He senses it. Plus, they have a ward in this area, so DJ's completely spotted out. And this should kind of alert Fnatic to where the wards are, because there's no reason for Misery to just completely play back, but he'll get the bottle in a second, and...
If they actually see this, like, the Dire Observer Ward scouted out that courier flying over. Like, they potentially could have sniped out Misery's bottle as well. Top lane, they're diving on ADTR, and this core VS, like, you stun on Pylai die to stop the Shadow Wave kill, but the damage is more than enough from just Puppy and the creeps he's got, and Net.
They should dive this.
Yeah, you've got Trolls, you've got the ability to summon the Undead. Net's going to Nightmare himself up. Buy time for his teammates to support him, but you've still got so many creeps that can just take the Nightmare off him. It's a good double crush from Ohio, and now his PA's in trouble. The Shadow Wave gives him a little bit more life. Phantom Strikes in 2 seconds, 1 second, but he can't get back out again. There would have been a creep wave for him to jump out to. Pardai cuts through the tree line, finds himself an escape path, and the Troll Trap is not available. They've got the clamp to slow down Ohio, but Ohio gets himself another lucky bash on Pylai, and Puppy try to body block him up. Pylai die into the tree line. Puppy, there it is with the penitence. He'll slow him down, but Ohio still got himself another crush available. Will find the kill, and a good rotation for him.
Oh, that was an excellent rotation. Meanwhile, Misery does get a solo kill on bottom. Looks like it cost him quite a lot of regen, but a kill is a kill, and...
He can move over in 20 seconds and just grab bottom rune.
Yeah, he'll be okay in this situation now, too. But that was a really good rotation. Like, you heard me calling. I was like, dive it. You should dive this. And because they had the angle, but Fnatic understood that positioning, too. They instantly TP with both of their cores. This is the correct response, because they weren't able to burst the Bane. That's the important part, right? Is that if you're able to kill the Bane instantly there, then kudos to you. You're going to grab a free kill. But because he was able to sleep himself, live for as long as possible, they almost had to overcommit. But it's okay. That kind of aggression is something that you do want to see on a Chen.
Especially from Puppies, Chen. Hate it when he just goes passive and starts farming with Wild Wings inside the jungle. Be more active in the lanes. Bring back the days of Harpy gaming. Not only first blood, but also killing couriers underneath Radiant Tier 2 towers. That's a moment I'll never forget. Ohio. With an Invis rune, he's preparing himself. They might have to just go on Pilot Eye, but they need more help. So Mushi's up in the lane now. Ohio... Like, it's Dazzle or bust. That Shallow Grave's going to stop them from killing off the Phantom Assassin to a point where he'll just Phantom Strike away.
They should be able to... I don't think so. Maybe. This is so obvious, though, if you just run forward if you're Fnatic.
Yeah, that's why they have to wait it out. So Paladai moves over, the attack comes, and they actually wait until the Phantom Strike from Envy is used to get back to safety, but it wasn't. It was a trap, and a perfect one at that. They're going to grab both of them. What patience from Fnatic.
And this is significant because most of the time, Secret, it's usually this kind of aggro dual lane / shy lane. You notice that Puppy focused so much of his attention on that top lane. That works out for them, and they get a better than even trade. Then Weehaw usually does well in his lane, and Misery kind of breaks even / wins his lane. But in a situation like this, where your mid lane went pretty disastrously, they got first blooded solo by the Viper, and got out CS pretty heavily. And now the rotations are coming in from Fnatic pretty heavily. On top of the fact that Mushi, he has a fair amount of kills now.
They're snowballing him. They're coming in for ADTR with the perfect chance. DJ can't really help. Like, he can Soul Assumption to Pylai die, but it just reveals his position. And, well, Mushi's going to arrive, and this is where it can help out. So Mushi, Pylai die. He's going to tick out as that Shallow Grave. No, he actually survives down to 1 HP. There's no one else that can get close enough to this, and the snowball's coming over for DJ. So they lose the VS, they lose the Visage, and Mushi's trying to get some kind of collateral. But Ohio's coming down the bottom lane being chased by the Chen army. So they do not want to move down any further south and get controlled and killed.
And they might run into the issue right now. Pre Slardart, Blink Dagger, getting aggressive straight up might be a little bit more difficult than they anticipate. The only reason why they were able to set up that top engagement was because of the Invis rune from the Slardart, but getting into a straight-up fight kind of seems like it's going to be an impossibility. At least until you get the blink on Slar, or if Secret overextends. But I think Secret have learned their lesson from, well, that top engagement, but also from the last game. Should teach them to be a little bit more gun-shy.
AKA not diving underneath Tier 1 towers when you're an underfarmed Ember Spirit.
I mean, YOLO, Toby, you gotta send a message.
He is very good at doing that. I never really want to give him crap for it, because you never feel safe going up against EE. But it looks like every offlaner that goes up against him, I just see like this defensive nature to hide back next to your tower.
So Weehaw continues to... he can't really trade in with the Viper, but he's doing pretty well right now in CS. He's done a good job of catching
Radiant's top tower is under
up. Still only a
attack.
2.8k net worth, but it's probably fine.
Yeah, when Chen's almost got the same amount of net worth as him. But this is Puppy. Like, he went and was involved in the lanes early on, and since that point, it's straight to the jungle. Make sure he power levels up. Now they get Hand of God, so there is a secondary heal kicking in globally for Team Secret now. And that's going to allow them to be a little bit more aggressive if they want to be. Like, Misery is still looking very good for his farm. The question I kind of have, though, is, like, can you kill off the Fnatic heroes? Like, you got VS Swap, which can screw around with your initiation. Like, the Visage doesn't have level 6 yet, but once those Familiars are up, you're going to have more stuns just flying in an area you're not really expecting. And the Viper is very close to completing up the mech. And with 4 points up in Corrosive Skin, he's already a very difficult to kill hero. So how does Secret find the picks, or do you not? Do you try and find maybe one person out and just keep farming until your PA's at a point where she can crit everyone?
No, you want to try to get aggressive with the Chen, which is what they're doing right now. Try to get some map control, because we saw in the other game what ended up happening.
Gonna run to Ohio. The EMP Tornado catching both Mushi as well as Net. They'll both drop down to about a quarter of their own mana. As Misery's rotation over, he wanted to go for Ohio. This wave of terror from ADTR's only gonna scout more than anything else. But Secret's moving up in force. There's 4 players up on top while they let EE do his work on bottom lane against DJ.
This is the right idea. Is at top, ADTR. You gotta be careful. Don't want to get collapsed on. It's the counterplay from Fnatic. They do have a TP available on their Visage. Their Bane has one as well, but he's not really in fighting condition, nor does he have a wand.
Fnatic have to let this go. The tower was already forfeit, so they just back up. But Secret don't have to. They're going to move aggressively into the Dire jungle. I'm looking for Observer wards, but it looks like they don't have any. Like, there's one in the Dazzle stash. But you get this initial push in, and you leave a very defensive ward inside the Dire jungle.
They're going to run straight into the jungle. But I don't think Fnatic... I don't know. They might be able to fight it, but the EMP Tornado does kind of mess up the Viper and the Slardar. Like, that's the huge downside of the Slardar. He does still have the Mango, so even after that fact, he might be able to get the stun off, but you really want at least a Blink Dagger before you get into any sort of large-scale engagement. And I think that's why Secret were so comfortable to just push out that top lane. It's going to provide Envy some space as well. Although at bottom, he's getting gone on by the Familiars that...
And again, if he can catch up to DJ, that TP support's coming in from Weehaw, and DJ starts to TP the Tornado. It actually picks him up. They followed through with the EMP and Cold Snap, and the EMP actually takes away Ohio's mana. He gets that Mango to go into the Crush, and then focuses over on EE, but EE, he had his own wand, and okay, well, no. When the Fiend Script's there from ADTR, he can't survive through that. Just locked in by Fnatic, and Fnatic brought their entire team to bottom lane to achieve that kill. Which was still a 1-1 trade-off, but you do take out the safe laner of Secret.
I don't know if you can call him a safe laner. I guess, like, carry is the better term here, just because of the amount of farm priority that they're going to put on. But they almost never safe lane him. Just, like, Envy off lane, Misery safe lane. But then they eventually switch off. Got it. Still, everybody from Secret right now is doing a pretty good job of keeping up in net worth despite things that have happened. Your core VS is actually only at 2,600 net worth. That's going to be an issue for you.
Because how's the VS meant to survive? Like I saw VS's yesterday. It was drums, it was treads, it was Aquila, and then they even went to the helmet, the Dominator, just to keep the VS surviving through the fights. Now EMP Tornado is going to go to work, and Mushi, he's got wand charges. He can trigger if he triggers his 15 wand charges, they might have the mech. But he can't Viper Strike and keep the poison attacks up during the fight with that. Now Ohio, snowballing from Misery, gets the punch off. The shards Ohio down to 16 life, but they haven't finished the job. Misery's got shards for the moment. The Sunstrike Ohio, he actually takes the long way through the tree, so the Sunstrike won't connect. But they find Mushi, turn the Tornado on, and he just can't walk himself away. The mech will be used, and Misery is dropping low, but the Shallow Grave is still there from Pylai Die, including the burst heal. Misery will snowball to dodge that last bit of the tick. So he'll end up surviving, and Ohio is out of it.
Dire's
That's so
bottom
unfortunate
tower
right
is
now
under
that
attack.
they didn't get anything out of that, and most importantly, that was an engagement that you can kind of get into because you have the early mech on the Viper. You've got some initiation with the birds, but this is just like a Chen army. There's so much to back you up. The Dazzle heal allows you to just get into 5-man situation early, and there's no real way, Toby, for Fnatic to engage this. Like, they still don't have the Blink Dagger on Ohio. He desperately needs that before they get into a fight. I think he would actually be better off just either farming the jungle or farming like the mid lane when that bottom engagement was happening, because there's no way that Fnatic should look for that fight, especially after they lose Mushi.
Yep. It's like they just want to fight the tower. Like they got the early kill on the PA. It's like, okay, well, there's confidence to come from that. But everything else just went out the window. And now Fnatic, like, you've lost all your tier 1 towers. Secret will back up for the moment. The Hand of God's off cooldown in 22 seconds time. The mech 14 seconds. So they got all the regeneration to just keep pushing. The only thing which isn't there is, okay, well, Pylai die. I take it back. Like, he's got arcane boots, and then he drops it to get even more. Like, they've got all the mana in the world. Weeha's looking really good on the Invoker. So they got all the regeneration they need. They can just keep forcing out the lanes. The only thing they don't have is the damage dealing items over on Eternal Envy, but you've also got the potential to crit.
He'll be okay.
Yeah.
Once he gets his Battle Fury too.
Yeah, once he gets his Battle Fury, I'm even more concerned for Fnatic. Because then EE's farm gets completely out of control.
Yeah. They've got the next 3 highest net worths after the Viper, and the Viper is a hero that kind of needs to be ahead just because of how not mobile he is. Like, he's not a hero that is going to easily look for pickoffs or anything like that unless it's incredibly under-leveled or under-farmed heroes.
Alright, Fnatic smoke move. Go higher. Look to the side. Find Pylai die. He'll find Weeha as well. The Blink Dagger's available. Jumps in. He gets both of them. Pylai die though. Yeah, okay. He gets the Shallow Grave off. He can turn around for the weave, but this means Weeha's going to die because he self-graves. But at that point, he thought maybe he can get himself an extra heal and save his teammate. But there's a double kill for Ohio. Successful gank, and they're instantly going to move towards Roshan.
Alright, so once you take Roshan, things kind of even out again. And most importantly, you can kind of continue to put pressure now. And with that Ohio Blink Dagger, that's what we were waiting for, right? This is the way that you get into fights and actually initiate. And Mushi, he's got the Ogre Club. I think that's going to be a BKB. Like, it'd be quite useful against heroes like the Invoker.
Roshan has fallen to the
It would actually be really useful against everybody from Secret. Just to get an early BKB, put the pressure on. That's what we saw Wings do, actually, right? Where we saw the Bristleback go for something a little bit unconventional. Mushi, you gotta be careful.
He TP's in, and his teammates weren't coming in at the same time.
Right, they
They'll
need to
take
get
some
here
time,
now.
and they already used the mech, and they got to fight this strong. PA, he's actually going to go down, even with the mech and the Hand of God from Puppy. Both is not enough to keep Eternal
Misery's
Envy
looking for
alive.
the
And
re-engage.
Mushi, okay, the shard's already come in from Misery. The Sunstrike would have ensured the kill. Net keeps Pylai out of this action, and it looks like Tuskar's going to die in the back lines.
Still, that was way too aggressive without the rest of his team instantly there. Like, he TP's in front of 4. I assume that was just like a team decision, but still kind of a sketchy one.
Maybe not respecting the fact that Secret were that aggressively up on top of the tower. Because his teammates were going to TP into the tier 4 towers, and maybe then Mushi plays the bait role.
It's probably just an awkward situation to be in. Like, you think you're going to be a little bit tankier because you're a Viper. You don't think people are going to commit to you because you have a mech. But then they just kill you anyways.
And with his Aegis Immortal on Ohio, I'm interested to see how aggressive he can be. And if Fnatic actually want to be aggressive. Like, are they actually at the point where they can force engagements, find fights? Like, I know they want to really try and like pop into Roshan. Like, you got Medallion, you got Amplification off, so you grab the Aegis Immortal. But what do you do with that Aegis then?
You probably just try to group up, get into team fights early on. And Slardar, I think, is the correct hero to have it on because Mushi shouldn't die. Like, if his, I say that, but then that top engagement happens. But he really shouldn't die.
It was like a 1-on-4 at that
He's got
point.
Weeha.
Yeah, there's your jump forward, the tornado, but Ohio just blinks himself over. But no, he got denied. He got denied up by the ancient rock columns. Oh, that's painful for Fnatic. It's still a death for the Invoker, but he spent the money on the quarterstaff before death.
Wonk, 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 wonk.
Dire's
I think they
bottom
tried.
tower
That was
is
a
under
really good
attack.
attempt by them. It's actually so
Radiant's
unlucky.
middle tower is
All
under
right, this is the classic Pylai Die space creation. You see that he's pushing in the enemy offlane by himself.
Yep.
As weird as this sounds, this is what's meant to happen. Like, he's meant to do this, and you notice that this cleared up a lot of space for Envy at bottom to continue the farm. Maybe he didn't have to quite be there, but it does put pressure, and you do rotate a few heroes up there as a result,
Radiant's
which they
middle
did.
tower
Unfortunately,
has
they're going to
fallen.
lose the mid tower immediately after. But now you've got some farm on the Venge. This is another core that doesn't quite scale, Toby.
Yeah.
So they have to take these early engagements. You're just kind of forced to. What are you going to get on Venge? You can get like a Maelstrom to flash harm, but that's about it.
And how are you meant to survive as a Vengeful Spirit if you pick up a Maelstrom? Like, this PA is now up to level 11, and Envy does get a 19.5-minute Battle Fury.
That's fine timing considering how this game's gone.
Yeah.
And he's only 100 net worth behind the Viper, who is pumped up by Tower Gold and the Roshan. So now Envy just farms. He's instantly catches up with just that one creep wave. He's going to do Ancients on the enemy side as well. Check for stacks or anything like that, which he won't see because, you know, Fnatic's line up. But Puppy even using the Dark Trolls to scout up.
This is just the farm patterns of Envy. He moves so quickly. Well, hello. Goodbye.
Radiant's
Pylai Die.
top tower is
Trying
under
to make his
attack.
way to the enemy offlane, but unable to do so. It might look like there's going to be
Oh, Mushi.
some pressure.
They're TPing support down here. Mushi got a glimpse of Phantom Assassin, but it's 80 TR who comes in. Well, the Shans might lock him in. The rest of Fnatic have moved off the top lane. So you find the kill. You're pushing up the tier 1 tower anyway. DJ's the last man left alive here, and We Are's going to chase after him. A quick tornado is going to buy them the space for it, and then in comes Eternal Envy. With a Cold Snap combination, DJ can't do much. They'll get the Familiars out, and with that rotation, Secret actually avoid the movement of Fnatic to the bottom lane.
Yeah, that's fairly important because you just want to dodge, 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 and eventually the Phantom Assassin plus Invoker will be strong enough to get into these engagements. It does look like the BKB is going to be the item of choice though for Mushi, and once he gets that, that's when they should continue to force the tempo, because this PA is going to get out of control. If she gets a BKB or something like that, it's going to be real tough to kill. They already have issues because of the Grave.
When you want to get a PA out of control, like with the cleave, and then you give the buff up of Alacrity too from Weeha, it's...
Dire's top tower
The
is
E
under
does so
attack.
much. The Aegis Immortal now is going to time out, so Fnatic weren't really able to utilize it much. You get a couple of pickoffs over on Pylai Die, but he accepted his fate a long time ago.
Alright, so BKB completed on the Viper.
Finally, he can keep his mana and not be affected by that EMP.
Yeah, that is actually kind of an annoying part. You see the Slardar is going to go for the same thing instead of going for something like the drums, like I've seen people do in the past. It's just, you know, skip it entirely. Now, Weeha's going to go for the stack for Envy, and this is not good for Fnatic as he's starting to get a lot of farm. He's going to get Alacrity'd up, deals quite a lot of damage, pretty decent attack speed. At some point, this is a hero that you're not just going to be able to ignore like you were in the past.
Yeah. What's Fnatic meant to do at this point? They don't have any kind of warding to look for it. Team Secret have been very vigilant with their sentry wards, watching the cliffside, as well as watching near the Ancient area. So they're making sure that Fnatic aren't keeping tabs on Eternal Envy's farm, or at least his movements around the map. While Fnatic, actually, they put an Observer Ward and Sentry up on the northern hill.
Radiant's bottom
Tornado,
tower is
Ohio.
under attack.
Up in the air you go, come straight back down again, and with the Cold Snap and the Shards and Snowball in. Nice! Oh, actually, no misery! He follows up at the end of the Snowball. He's still stuck with the Slardar. And ADTR thought he was going to save him with the swap, but now he's going to lose his own life. With Misery getting that double kill. And the push will come
Radiant's
down.
bottom tower is
You
under
got a
attack.
Vladimir's offering over on Misery, so PA's feeling happy as Larry. There's so much lifesteal for Horror when she jumps in now.
It's more just the fact that it's another item that helps out everything. It buffs up all the creeps too, gives them some damage.
Has fallen.
This is just going to be so rough for them to get into this kind of engagement against
Is
this
this
many
right?
creeps. Vlad's, I mean, they don't have Glyph up. They don't have buyback on like half their heroes, so you can't really just walk in there and die. You have to wait for your Slardar to be up,
Mushi.
but Mushi can't afford to die here.
He's just attacking on it, but it's almost like he's now the one creating space. They've done a lot of damage to the tier 3 tower, and it looks like Team Secret, yeah, they're getting out. They've done the damage they want to. Fnatic's back to 5 heroes, so they just back out. Don't risk too much. We're still only 23 minutes into this game.
Maybe they just smoke up immediately. If you're Fnatic, push out this mid lane. The rest of your lanes are pushed in enough that you can go for this. I think if you're Ohio, you just come back and you immediately smoke.
Well, they did buy the smoke over on Bane, but did he end up selling that, or is it on the courier now? It's over on the courier.
I think you actually have to smoke if you're Fnatic to get map control back.
Right.
This is one of the better situations, too, to do it in, because there was a time period where all the lanes are pushed in, right? And so it doesn't feel as obvious. But time might have just passed by.
Well, they group up. They use a fresh BKB on Ohio.
Alright, here we go. Nope.
Nope. They might just be hoping Roshan will spawn soon, but unfortunately for them, it's a minute and a half they have to wait. So that would have at least forced Team Secret into the fight. And away from the farm.
So far, Fnatic haven't been able to do that. They just really haven't been able to get control of this like north side of the map either. But they are going to go for the smoke. Like we talked about, the lanes are pushed in enough so that this isn't the most obvious thing in the world, even though it kind of is.
They were hovering like with 3-4 heroes over that Radiant Observer Ward in the mid. So, yeah,
Right.
I think they realize it. Envy comes down. They go for the Blink Crush.
The backup.
And now the support will arrive, but there's your Snowball. Tornado as well, catching out the Viper and the VS to the back lines. They go for the Fiend Script over on EE, but the Mech is there, and the Hand of God, and the Shallow Grave. They even send him back to base. Maybe not required as Fnatic. They've kind of expended everything they've got. An ADTR controlled up by the Centaur Stomp. It's a double kill again for Misery. Net will be the follow-up. It's a triple kill for this Tusker. And Fnatic, they've lost almost every single hero apart from Ohio. Even with those BKBs, they couldn't be protected.
I don't even know if Envy was in danger. They like graved him, but he still had like a quarter of his life because of every type of heal that came out on him. The situation for this is actually pretty grim right now. You've got what looks to be a Manta style flying in on EE, so you should be able to dodge the Viper Strike, get rid of the amp damage. Fnatic, they've lost so many heroes that even if they had buyback, it's not worth doing it. You've lost racks. You've got to be careful.
Wow. With a crit and the Orca that's already up, Ohio's going to drop with 53 seconds on the sideline.
They're just getting sloppy now. That should have been obvious. Nobody from Fnatic was going to buy back for that. It's not worth it. Your Rax is going to die. Yep. You know the initiation potential with the Tornado plus the Dagger. Blink is incredibly high. Why even bother fighting into that?
And now Roshan's up. Team Secret can just rotate in. They got all the damage in the world. Like, their aura stack is unbelievable. Like, when you got that Alpha Wolf as well, a puppy with them the entire time. Eternal Envy doesn't need much more. Looks like we actually are going to get the Ether Lens over on Pilot Eye. So welcome to even bigger cast range. Your dad's looking to sit the back lines. That's the range of your Shallow Grave.
Oh my god.
Yep.
It's almost a full screen. It's actually a full screen.
Look at Weave. You can actually have Pilot Eye in the middle and not see the sides.
Yeah. Okay, this is just... This item has to...
Balance. Balance of power. That was the name of the patch, man.
I mean, Brave is pretty much your full screen. Shadow Wave and Weave. Like, I can't even see his circles for anything but Poison Touch.
Oh yeah, because you're zoomed in.
Yeah.
I was actually zoomed out, and that's still when, like, this is how far you got to go out to see Weave. This is the distance you need. You lose player names when you come out this far.
It's not even Max Grave is the unbelievable part.
Puppy's got one of the new changes as well. The Ancient Black Dragon having the Fireball. So basically a mini Macropire. This little sucker right here. Costs almost no mana. And if you keep hero locked down, like if you get a good shard off from Misery, you then throw that Macropire down. It's actually just called Fireball. Envy's going solo. Maybe a little bit more than he can really chew, but he's got the Aegis Immortal. They use the Fiend Script, so Fnatic, like, do you really want to try and stick around and do this again? The answer is no. They burn the Aegis. They want to get away with this. The Tornado barely misses Mushi, and Fnatic will get away with the murder of the Aegis.
No, but that's a Fiend Script used. I don't know if that's enough to prompt them to go for the high ground, but this should definitely mean...
They're smoking.
Okay.
This.
They might just invade into mid and try to end the game right after.
But isn't this a little obvious? Like when you don't attack the tier 2 tower, Fnatic have to realize that something is awry.
I don't think so. I feel like this is kind of an odd timing. Like, I don't know if Fnatic is going to expect the
Well,
speed
here they
of
come.
this.
Mushi, BKB, the Shards control though. ADTR just swaps him out, but you put the VS into a lot of harm's way, and there's a lot of envy to go into it. Even the Macro Pyre, the Phantom Assassin's going to take it out with a Fireball.
That is also your Venge down. It was just the speed at which they did that. That was a little bit hard to keep up with.
Hard to read. Now they go after Nep. Perfect snowball. The Nightmare's going to protect him. Buyback comes out from your VS. Trying to get back towards the front lines. Misery a little bit too deep. The Shallow Grave will be able to protect him as Ohio triggers the BKB, but the physical damage is just too much. The Invoker is the one to find the last hit into him. But then the Shards control ADTR perfectly, controlling it with the Fireball and the Centaur Stomp. YIGI will grab the double kill. They'll move over to Mushi, and this really does feel like game. Fnatic are getting destroyed inside their own base, and there it is. The call comes out. It is 23-12 as the end score. But Fnatic, they will lose game 1 against Team Secret, and Team Secret claim their first victory at WCA after being 2-0'd by Wings earlier today.
Yeah, and Fnatic looked like there were some glimmers of hope, but they just got sloppy. Like, the individual heroes that would just constantly die, it looked like there were just miscommunication errors everywhere. It